This is the house I grew up in, and this is it in Lego. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you what the real rooms in the house look like, and then comparing it to the Lego model I built. So with all that said, Lego. So this is the house I grew up in, and this is me. There are so many details I want to get into with this build, and the cool thing about it is all modular, which effectively means you can take it apart in sections. So we're gonna start in the center and work our way around the whole house. And we're going for 50,000 subscribers, so hit that button and let's get into it. Now the first section I got to work on was the foyer. Now the first thing you'll see is the red door, which is also the same on the real house. And then when you go to open the door and go inside, it looks pretty darn accurate to how it actually looks in the real photos. The issue with rooms like this is because it's such a thin hallway that's closed off, you can't really tell. And when you stack the next layer on, it looks even more accurate. And you could even send me falling down the stairs, which is something I did more than once. And on this side, there are two entrances you can see, which work great for when you put in the kitchen and the dining room. Now, if you look at the real photo of this room in particular, you'll notice there are more than 4 chairs here, but for Lego scaling size, we kind of had to mess around with the dimensions and the fact that the table's round and not that oval shape. Same deal with the benches around the countertop. I believe there were 3 of those, and here there are only 2. And then also the refrigerator was supposed to be up against the wall, but again, because of Lego spacing and things sometimes being bigger or smaller than they should be, it just didn't work out. Now, another great section is I had to make this side compartment with this separate room, which was kind of connected. It was a little alcove. In actuality, washing and drying machine were on the left side in a bit of a closet. But again, we couldn't scale that here, but I wanted to still represent them in Lego. So we have them both here. And because this was a separate section of the house, I actually had a second roof made for it, and you could attach that like this very simply, and it actually works very well and fits with the same color as the real top of the roof. The next section you'll notice is the living room, and there's a lot here. First off, I do have some pictures on the wall. I just picked these randomly out of the Seinfeld set. I wasn't sure. I know we had real pictures there, but I didn't want to kind of like print them out and remake them in tiny version. And then we also have the blue drapes, and those are on both sides, which is accurate to the real thing. And on this side of the room, we have this secretary over here, which has been in my family for over 100 years. This one, it does not actually open because you have the little cheese slopes here, but it still gets the point across. And then down here, we have a really subpar version of a couch. In my opinion, it was the best thing we could do to make sure it looked good, but it's not the best in the world because it is so small and can only really fit one person officially. So I could put like one person here, and when they're sitting, their feet aren't even touching the couch or anything. It makes it feel very small when you put a minifigure in it. And then we also have this little side resting couch we have, which again, not the most functional, not the best with furniture in the world, but this is kind of how you had to do it for the scaling. The fireplace is certainly the most iconic part of this room, and the one that looks the most accurate in my opinion, although it doesn't have a fire in there, but it looks good. And then obviously that connects into this room, which then connects into the kitchen. The next room is probably my favorite, and this is, I guess, my Lego room. This was the room I spent a lot of time in. It wasn't a Lego room officially, it was officially my parents' office, but I kind of overtook it with Legos. Just be able to see more of it, I'm gonna take out the shelf and then I'll explain the deal with all of this. So first off, we have a couple things, and I'm gonna be pointing all of these out. So we had this shelf over here with these TV and the little shelves and everything like that. The first thing I'd like to point out is the left side. This is where my sister's Legos were. We included the Rapunzel's castle set as well as the Lego Friends cruise ship, which are represented by these little models. Cruise ship's really tiny. And then up top, we have the Olivia's horse barn from Lego Friends. Now this mat, this pink mat over here is supposed to kind of represent where our dog's crate would be. And now I just kind of put a mat there because doing crates in a like dog scale size thing is just gonna look really bad in this room because of the scaling. Like the fact that a Lego set is already this big is kind of ridiculous. And speaking of that, we have Wally over here represented by some bricks. And I think this is just a fantastic mini Wally build. I think it looks just fantastic, just like Wally. And then down here we have a build of Benny's Spaceship, which is really, really cool. And I made a really tiny version of this set. And then we have a TV over here. And then we have this here, which basically was more little shelves that were just stacked on top of. And probably one of the least accurate sections of the house is the little office section. Now that was more of a space reason. This area was much bigger. We had an area over in the corner, and that would be my parents' desk, and a lot of my mom's like arts and crafts supplies would be up in these different shelves. And then on the other side, there was another desk, and that's where I'd store a lot of my Lego parts. And then we actually had a table in the center. And the table in the center is usually where I would play and build with most of my Lego sets, but you know, it just couldn't fit. There would be no space and it would have looked bad. Now again, if you look in the actual photos, there is a big black shelf that has a bunch of my Legos on it, including the Millennium Falcon set, which you can see on there. And here is, I made a very big version of it. And I just put a lightsaber there. I didn't necessarily have a lightsaber build per se, but it just kind of represented the mess of gray parts. We have the TIE Fighter, and then we also have the Star Destroyer. But of course we have my most favorite Lego Star Wars set, and maybe one of my favorite Lego sets. It is the Ewok Village. This is a mini model of it. It's great. I actually had this whole little green table that was next to this, and that had my whole Ewok Village setup. It was the best set. And overall, this was kind of the setup of the room. Is a much more compact version of it. But compared to the real thing, I'd say pretty accurate. Now outside, we also had a deck that led from that section of the house and here. So this is a cool area. I didn't really have time to build a full grill and table setup. I put some temporary ones for the main video. But it looks good. It basically looks how it looked in real life, which is nice. But I knew it wasn't going to be a main functional element of the build. It was also just weird having this door kind of floating into nothing. So that's why we have a deck. The next room is my sister's bedroom. And again, you'll notice, not entirely accurate. So usually you come in from the door over here. And then what would happen is you would have a little area in the corner with not much. And then you'd see her bed, which is right there. And there's a Lego version of my sister. And then on the left of that, you would actually have this build over here, which is a shelf that held a lot of her American Girl doll things. And later I actually took that shelf and used it in the Republic Studs studio. It is a white shelf, it's very nice. And then on the other side of the room would be this, adjacent on the opposite side. So this would be her bed and this would be where her desk would be, which is what this is. On this side, there is actually a door to a bathroom and a closet, but I didn't include that. So we have her desk over here, again, for space reasons. And it looks really accurate. I believe it was actually my mom's desk a long time ago. But it looks really cool. And again, pretty accurate to the real thing. Hers, of course, does come with these purple curtains. And an interesting thing about this room was there was this little extra bathroom that we never went into that was kind of hung off the side. And like there was a window here, but there was an extra one. And I never went in it. The next room is the master bedroom and my parents' room. Detail-wise, this one's probably the most accurate out of any room in the house. It has the 2 lampshades, it has the bed, and it has my dad's dresser, which is very big and looks really cool. And then we have just some windows. It looks very accurate. And then they also have the adjacent connecting bathroom and the only one in this build. If you look at the pictures, this one's pretty accurate. It is missing one of the mirrors and some stuff that was on the wall over here. But other than that, the front-facing view is pretty accurate. And for reference, for people who think you could totally fit more, like he's barely getting by here. There's no room. It's very tight. And this last room is, again, another one I happen to like a lot. This is my bedroom. I had a cool room growing up. I love this place. First off, you'll notice Animal's head from the Muppets there. If you look in the photos, you'll see I had a giant pillow with Animal from the Muppets on it. And well, here it is, a little bit bigger in terms of scale than that one, but it's there. I have another little dog thing. It is representing my dog. It doesn't look anything like my dog, by the way. And then I have this little like action figure representing just all the action figures I had. A couple of notes. I did have a bunk bed, which was awesome. And it was this exact color almost, and it had the same sheet color and everything, like you can see in the photos. If you'll notice, this is the only time we really did this, where we have one long drape and we don't even have a second one over here. And then we have 2 short ones, which is pretty interesting. And then we go over here and you'll see a fish tank. Now in the real photo, you can also see a fish tank. The fish was not that big, but that was Big Orange. Had him for a while. It was technically on the other side of the room. And then this is flipped around, obviously, from where the door is supposed to be, just so that way I could show you this. We also had this little puppet theater thing. This is from FAO Schwartz that I got it, and I would do little puppet shows behind it or whatever. And then I had a bunch of posters, pictures on the wall I represented by this Hang In There and this Miss Piggy one just because I have a bunch of Muppet stuff. Again, a huge Muppet fan at the time. And another thing I did build for the video was this little box, I guess, that I turned into a claw machine that I would play. And then we have all the different toys or whatever that would be in that. I made that, and then I filmed the video. I thought I was gonna upload it to YouTube. I never did. Like, if you would wanna see like a member exclusive, we could upload like old raw footage of me from when I was 7, and people could watch that. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. But with all this in here, it looks a little crowded. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna turn it all around and make it fit, and you'll notice it has a slight overhang, which again, if you look at the outdoor pictures, is accurate to the way the house looked. And overall, you'll notice the upper layout is very accurate to the real thing, minus a bathroom here and minus a bathroom that would have been over here. For scaling purposes, they didn't make sense. But the rest of this is almost 100%, which I absolutely love about it. I almost thought about axing this upstairs area entirely just to be able to extend each room a bit, but I think it works so that way you can actually connect all the rooms. So you could go to my room, or you could go to my parents' or my sister's room, and you have that all there. There's also a closet, I think, here, but nothing crazy is missing. And I love that about this. And then finally, we do have a roof. And with the roof, we did have an attic, which I didn't really do much with. You do have room if I wanted to really try and squeeze in a little bit of an attic, I could, because, I'll show you, there is enough space basically to stand a person here. Boom, we're hiding a grandma in the attic. No, you can't actually stand a person, but there's room for stuff. You can put people in storage up here, or you can make a bit of a storage area. I was always scared of the attic, so I never went up here, and I don't have any pictures of it, so I don't know if I could recreate it. Now, my friend the Brickaniac did help me design this thing, so you should definitely check him out on YouTube. And it's really cool because as I show you different photos and videos from around the house, you can see how really accurate this is to the real thing. And for me, it's especially weird because I haven't lived in this house for almost 10 years now, but I still remember things so fondly, and it is really cool to have a model of it to always look at in my house. I don't intend to take this apart. The only thing, the regret that I have about this whole build is this little gray line here. It doesn't really match with the rest of the house. And at some point, maybe I do a slightly bigger version of it to actually be more accurate and like be fully functioning the exact same way the real one would, but that would be like way in the future. I'll have someone design that. And I absolutely love about it because I can take my home with me wherever I go. So if you can, I definitely recommend you trying to make a really good, accurate version of your house, whether you're designing it online and buying the parts or using the parts you have in your collection. It's something that's worth doing, and I think it's really cool, even if you just do a version of your room, and then you can take that wherever you go, and I think that's great. With all that said, God bless and stay awesome.